Welcome back to the Hacks Facts podcast. I'm your host, Zach Racusin. It is June 16th, 2020, if you're watching this. And if you are watching this, we're 1 week closer. 1 week closer to something. For me, it might be 1 week closer to a haircut, desperately needing a haircut. For others, it might be 1 week closer to eating food in a restaurant or going bowling if those things are opened up. I know in the state of New Jersey, we're getting close on some of those things. For others, it's 1 week closer to a professional baseball season, maybe to some sort of agreement between the Players Association and Major League Baseball if you're in that mix. For most people who are college athletes, you're 1 week closer to the next step of your life. Now, for some, that might be transferring to a new school. And we're going to talk about that in detail today between one fellow transfer of multiple colleges to another. And that leads me to our guest, Karl Ellison. Karl, welcome to the show. We're really glad you're here for the first time. We now have had a World Series champion on this show, and today we'll have a Division I College World Series champion on this show. Before I get into that, real quick, we have to thank our sponsors and those who make this program possible. None of this would be possible without help from American Bathsmith. Check out AmericanBathsmith.com if you guys are looking for good wood. And when I say good wood, I mean wood that it's not going to break if you use a machine. It's not going to break if you don't get the ball perfectly on the barrel. It's not going to break if you hit a line drive and you feel like you barreled it and look back and that bat's in pieces and shards. Check out my guy Jake Huff out in Salt Lake City, Utah. American Bathsmith, be distinct. They do anything for you. They'll individualize anything, customize anything from the smallest amateur guy to a professional baseball player. I encourage you to check them out. We're also brought to you by Rax Hacks Remote Training. Guys, it's 2020. It's time to wake up. It's time to realize that you can train, you can get better no matter where you are in the world with anyone you want. As long as you have one of these and you have a guy on the other end that has a program that's individualized, customized, able to help you get from one place to another where you want to go. Check us out at our social media pages at RAX_HAX. We go to work for you guys. We help you guys. We do a thorough, total baseball transformation from your strength and conditioning, your mobility, your nutrition, and most importantly, your mechanical and technical analysis. We use video, we have proprietary programming, and we have ways of sharing information online with you that make you think that we're there with you. So check us out, write us an email, send us a message, DM us, and we will get you on your way to achieving your goals as baseball players. Now, Karl, first, before we get into any of this, we got to talk about the shirt I'm wearing. So for those of you that are seeing this shirt, and I'll kind of jump around a little bit with some of this information. Karl and I were teaming 2019. Oh, there it goes. 2019. It's okay. With the Lake Erie Crushers, Frontier League franchise, Avon, Ohio. And XOXO Karl turned out to be a bit of a rally cry for our team last year. You're struggling there. Did I lose you?
Unbelievable.
That's okay. Anyway, XOXO Karl ended up being a rally cry. We put it on our shirts. I mean, we had fans getting involved in understanding what this was all about. We won a division last year. We won the Frontier League East Division for the first time in a number of years in Lake Erie. And this kind of ended up being one of our rally cries. So I'm going to let Karl kind of tell us the story once he gets his technology.
Yeah, once we get this figured out here, I'm all for any conversation.
At Hacks Facts, we roll with the punches. We make adjustments. Baseball players, you got to make adjustments. Shooting a podcast, you got to make adjustments. Anyway, so why am I wearing this shirt? What is this shirt all about? Explain to the people out there in the internet.
All right, so this shirt, I still to this day have no idea why anybody took the time to make it. Although it was somehow we started to win some ball games, get it going, turn it around. Anyway, so we're in Florence. Remind you guys, this was my first professional year, first professional spring training that I was taking part in here. And we happen to be playing in Florence, Kentucky, somewhere that's right outside of Cincinnati, Ohio, where I lived the first 14 years of my life. So I have a lot of family there. And and we're at the game, and he's a fashion guy, Karl Lagerfeld.
Karl Lagerfeld. That's right.
So he had passed away, and my aunt got a shirt that said XOXO Karl on it. He just so happened to spell his name Karl. The shirt had absolutely nothing to do with me, but my aunt, of course, thinking of me, sees my name, purchases the shirt, then shows up to a spring training game in which we're playing in with the shirt on. I like to take pride in the fact that I can roll with some jokes and laugh at myself. And in situations like that, be thankful that I have people that love me enough to wear a shirt that says my name. Anyway, couple guys, Jared Koenig and Augie Gallardo, they decided to make shirts. And it took about 3 months for us to get, I feel like, even though the season's like 3 months, but it took forever anyway. And about second half of the year, we get them. And next thing you know, everybody's wearing these shirts. I don't even know if I wanted to wear this shirt, but all of a sudden everybody else is wearing this thing during BP. And I'm like, well, I guess I can get behind this. It says my name, so why not? So anyway, we had a lot of fun with it. Did it help get a rally? I'll let the numbers speak for themselves.
The team definitely got hotter after having the shirts, and we kind of went on our run. We were like really hot at the beginning of the season, and kind of cooled off, got hot again, and then won the division. The most common hilarious encounter involving the shirts would be when we were wearing these in batting practice, and other people on other teams would come up to us and be like, yo, man, like, who's Karl? Is like someone die? Like, and more often than not, someone would be like, well, yeah, like Karl Lagerfeld. And then he'd be like, oh man, like, was he a player on your team? And we'd be like, no, like the famous German fashion icon and creator, Karl Lagerfeld. Anyway, it's not really what, like,
you're missing the point, but like,
yeah. So basically, your aunt didn't know, or she did know, but she
did know.
Commandeered it she repurposed the shirt, in the spirit of fashion, in the spirit of repurposing things to support our very own Karl Ellison, one of our catchers in Lake Erie this year. Anyway, for those of you out there, I always give a little rundown, explain it to people, what our guests, their background, what they're all about. I mentioned Karl won a College World Series championship in 2014 and appeared in a CWS in Omaha in 2015, playing at Vanderbilt University. Prior to that, you were a really good high school baseball player. You mentioned you kind of bounced, moved around a little bit. You were in Cincinnati growing up. Family moved to Florida, and we'll talk about that. You played for the legendary Midland Redskins, prep baseball program out of Ohio and the Midwest. And ultimately, following the 2016 season, transferred to Lynn University, a very strong Division II program in the Sunshine State Conference down in Boca, Florida, and had a monstrous 2017, hit 353, 22 doubles, 13 home runs, I think, right? Something like double-digit home runs, monstrous year. And then, we'll kind of talk about that story and how you move from one place to another. Also picked up some collegiate coaching experience at Lynn in between that playing time and your first professional season with Lake Erie last year. So really well-traveled, valuable insight from many different angles within the baseball landscape. And just really glad to have you on. I know you would probably ask this question a lot. And I apologize at first, but, what was it like catching the final pitch and the final out of the first College World Series championship in Vanderbilt history? What was that like?
What was it like? I've been asked about it many times. I don't think anybody's ever been like straight up like, what was it like? It was surreal, really. I guess for me, like, going off that season, the beginning of my freshman year, a lot of my freshman year, I had a lot of struggles, and to go from a position where I really wasn't playing much to I was trusted enough to catch that Game 3 of the World Series, pretty meaningful experience for me, and I think is kind of a theme of of me a lot, kind of, that I just kind of roll punches and do what I have to do to get to where I need to go. So anyway, it was just like my biggest memory of that was my at-bat right before the ninth inning. I was facing, I think it was like Artie Lewicki from Virginia, who, you know, for those at home, our freshman year, me and our fellow catcher were 0 for the World Series, so we pretty much had 8 hitters the entire time there. But anyway, so I'm coming up to hit, and I'm like, I want to just get this at bat over with. Or it might have been Nick Howard, either one of those two, who threw very hard. I had no shot. So I was like, I want to get this at bat over and just go catch. So anyway, you know, just as get it over, get behind the dish, and I just felt really good about what was going on. Ravenel pitching just had good stuff, and I just felt like everything was in our favor after that big home run, and it was just like, let's enjoy this last inning, really. I gave a lot of thought to, after the pitch, making sure I kept my mask on. That was a big focus of mine, too.
Yeah, I noticed that when you watched the video. Why?
That was totally planned.
Why?
Because I knew that I was going to be at the bottom of that pile, and there was no shot that I was just going to eat dirt with
20 to the face.
25 dudes on. Yeah, I was like, no way. So, as a matter of fact, it ends up I am face plant in the dirt. I'm looking at the dirt, and there's about this much space from me to the dirt. So I was like, okay, good choice. So gave some thought to that. But yeah, that was it was a heck of an experience. Forever thankful for it, and just surreal, I think, is the best way to explain it, really.
Yeah, I mean, that people don't realize that Virginia, or they do realize that Virginia team, because obviously in 15 they came back and won the whole thing. But I mean, a lot of firepower on that team. You had, I mean, Josh Spores was the closer. I don't know if you faced him. I mean,
I think he was the closer in 15. I think really it was like Nick Howard and Lewicki were the two in 14.
Yeah, Lewicki also a lot of New Jersey roots in that game, in that title game in 14. You got Norwood, he's from Burnersville, New Jersey, played at Seton Hall Prep.
Shocking that you're aware of all this.
You know, with New Jersey being the baseball powerhouse that it is, no one's surprised to hear that there are just various connections to the Garden State at most elite baseball events. But it's interesting because, you know, a lot gets lost in the fold. I mean, you caught so far you handled 3 major league pitchers on that staff, and you platooned with Jason DeLay, and I mean, that's quite an accomplishment for any baseball player. You know, to catch 3 at the college level, to catch and handle 3 major league pitchers as a freshman. Tyler Beatty, Walker Buehler, and Carson Fulmer. I mean, that has to go a long way in helping you adjust your mindset and understanding what it is that high-level guys look for when you're handling a pitching staff. Did that help shape your mindset towards hitting it all? Calling games?
Man. Well, we had a lot of games being called was through the coaches when I was in school. I have used those experiences of catching with them and working with those guys. Obviously, that was really my first experience of working with arms that were like that dominant and that prominent. I mean, I caught, you know, playing with FTB in Midland, like you said, like I was fortunate enough to catch a lot of really good arms. But there's a difference of catching a high school kid who can throw, you know, very hard and has very good, but still kind of clueless with what he's doing, than a 20, 21-year-old who's starting to figure it out a little bit.
Right.
So that experience definitely has shaped more now that I really, you know, last year was my first pro year, and I start to see more things, I guess, that just naturally came along with working with those guys and how to call pitches. Scott Brown definitely was very good at calling games, and that ability to understand that power arms, you know, if they execute the way they're properly supposed to execute, there's no reason to mess around, and you just attack. And, you know, if somebody starts hitting them consistently, we'll go from there.
Okay.
That I've learned through that experience.
So using that information, because obviously there's two different things. You could use that information for your catching and pitch calling, which you obviously have. And
right.
Something that I noticed last year that you have a great handle on that when you handle the pitching staff. But as a hitter,
you that was
you know, game theorying it and taking the information you have on the defensive side That's something we've been focusing a lot lately with our guys is using the knowledge you have as a catcher to apply to what it is you can sit on and look for as a hitter.
Offensively now, I think I'm just starting to get a grasp on that. Like, I was a very, very weak hitter from the ages of 18 to 20. Like, first 3 years of school, I was pretty not great. And that's also part of just not having a handle on certain movements and that type of thing that you guys teach, really. I just didn't have a very good grasp of it. And it's taken me a lot of time to really start to figure that out. And now at the age of 25, I really feel like I'm starting to get comfortable as a hitter. And I mean, that's late for most. And thankfully I can catch, but I feel like I'm starting to grasp that. And just the understanding of pitch shapes. And now that I have caught these arms, I think, I have an idea of like, okay, they're going to try and attack me until they feel otherwise. I'm going to look for a fastball. I'm going to be ready to hit a heater because those guys like to throw their heater. And then we'll go from there.
Right. So this is a sense of getting out of your own way and just letting your tools do what they do and keeping it simplifying. I think simplifying is an undervalued and undertaught, tool or weapon at our level, especially in high-level college baseball. And I think all the good programs, they really put an emphasis on simplifying and keeping things nice and tight and condensed for guys. But one thing I've also noticed you've always done well is you bring great energy. You handle personalities well. For the most part, there's some funny stories about those things, but no, you on field, you always have done that really well.
Well, easy there. Let's not make it sound like I'm doing crazy things off the field here.
No, it's when a guy. It's usually. I don't mean it like that. I mean,
I'm messing around.
There's when certain guys on certain teams will disrespect us or say things, make disrespectful comments in the box. That's usually, cause for retribution. And I know you've stuck up for that in the past. I won't name names or get into specifics, but
happened for everybody. We've all had our moments.
We've all had our moments, and that's part of what it is to be a baseball player. But done a really good job at handling personalities, and I think you have a great ability to have your finger on the pulse of the team and the chemistry and the emotion of the team. Not to, kind of our last question on 14, not to go back too far, but the team was 17. It's been well documented. The team was 17-13 at the break, and you're at a certain point, and team got very hot very late.
Yeah.
And what was that about, and like why did that team with so many weapons, with 5 Major League Baseball players, Brian Reynolds, Dansby Swanson, those 3 pitchers I talked about, and potentially more as we continue to go on, why did the team get so hot late?
I think it took us a while to find a real identity. I think as that year went on, we started to just buy into who we were, whatever that may have been. I think it was we just started to be ourselves and go out there and play and be like, this is who we are. Like, we're not searching for something, we're not searching for who we are. It's just like, this is who we are. Let's roll. Like, we got to go. And really, we didn't start playing that great until after the SEC tournament. My biggest memory was after the SEC tournament when we go in there, and I'm pretty sure we lost 2 games and went home.
Right.
So we lost 2 games and went home. We get back. The guy running the show doesn't take off his uniform, I don't think, for a week. And we weren't allowed at the field for a week. So I think that just gave us an opportunity to sit back and be like, okay, like, let's take a breath. We're good. This is a good opportunity for us to chill, reset. We'll go from there.
Yeah.
And then we just I think it just started to lock in. Like, we got comfortable and just started playing to win. And that's just kind of the way it went. We were fortunate dudes started showing up. And that's just the kind of thing that happens. Like, in Omaha, Tyler Campbell steps up and takes over, and is an all-tournament guy who barely played the entire year. I mean, just little stuff like that happens every year. And I think that just cultivated from day by day work and trust in the process type of deal, really.
Yeah, it seems like especially good stories of teams, overcoming adversity. The
Mhm.
SEC tournament's definitely overcoming adversity. Again, is simplifying and keeping sight of what it is that gets you success and has gotten you success in the past, right?
Right.
And there's anyone that's ever read Andre Agassi's book, and there's a great passage where he talks about how his greatest successes came when he stopped thinking and he started feeling. And it's one thing to try to consciously feel, but that's
Mhm.
when you
Then you're concentrated on trying to feel, which is again not what you want.
We'd had this conversation last year a bunch, and you started to get very hot towards the end of the year when I think you were just going up there, you and me both. We were just stopped thinking so much. We just really just you have to let your body's compass and, your baseball IQ just kind of lead its way, and, let your pulse on the game kind of drive you towards your actions. And that's definitely something that seems like it happened in 14, and it kind of happened with that UVA team in 15 too, because we played that team in South Carolina the opening weekend that year, and a few months later they were national champions. And it's a similar type of story. They kind of came out of nowhere and then just ran the table. But so after 16, you transferred to Lynn, and we'll kind of talk about the mindset and the idea behind it. And you had a huge year at Lynn. Before we talk about some of the transfer process stuff, because I want to focus on that today. What led to that success at Lynn? I mean, you had a breakout year, and that's good D2 baseball. That's high level baseball down there.
What led to that? So when I left Vanderbilt, to be honest, I wasn't really happy. I just wasn't happy with. I think basic point was just what do I need to do to feel like Karl Ellison and be able to find my way again? I knew it was going to be an uphill battle for a while. So college was a tough time for me, really, just for any number of reasons. It's tough for anybody, but I felt like I was always searching for just trying to grow and learn and get comfortable again with myself and in my own skin and around it, just everything, just learning like any normal human has to go through. And so I transfer. I'm playing summer ball in the Florida Collegiate League. I meet a guy who's now a coach at Stetson. I'm pretty sure he coaches Stetson, Brandon Brewer, who just started working with me. And that was the beginning of my transformation of my swing. That's been such a long process. Not that I'm by any means perfect now, but it's been an uphill climb ever since, really. I've been it's been a trend in the right way ever since. So anyway, I just, I worked with him. I just kind of bought into what he had to say to me, and I stuck with it for an entire year. And I was fortunate enough to be able to catch and play first base at Lynn. So I'm playing every day. Right. That's the first time I played every day since I was 18 years old.
Right.
And even my senior year, I barely got to play much for any number of reasons. But so that was my first opportunity again to really play a lot.
Okay.
And I just kind of ran with it, and it was stuck with my routine, got to play, and just had a good time. Was finding my way. And the coaches there really gave me an opportunity to just be myself and play the game. And I let my ability take over, kind of gave me that chance to let it go. And it worked out pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think fans or people who are in baseball realize the frequency at which college baseball players at the Division I level transfer schools.
I had no idea until I actually transferred.
For those that are listening, in 2000, I know there are other public statistics, but I know off the top of my head that in 2018, the second highest incidence of transfers among Division I schools in the NCAA were baseball players. 23% of all four-year school baseball players at the D1 level transferred. 23%. It's held pretty steady over a fairly long period of time. It actually used to be even greater, toward the end of the aughts in 07, 08, 09. But I'm painting a picture for people that know what's going on right now. You have contraction in minor league baseball. Yes, it's coming. You have college baseball having been canceled this year. Everyone getting a year of eligibility back. So there's going to be a spike in my prediction, and I think we've seen a very large amount of transfers thus far. in the portal this year. The portal is a recently new development, but
Right.
but just conceptually, guys transfer all the time. And one thing you said is critical, because if you're not playing every day, too many guys make decisions about, I want to go to this school, I want to go to that school, without reading the writing on the wall.
Right.
And it's not to say that you always need to take the road of, the easiest road, to go, but clearly there's a bunch of different things happening here. And we can talk about my story, but with you, when you were going through that process, did you feel like people kind of vilified transfers? Because that's what it seems like to me, socially and culturally. I still get the impression from people that they're like, well, I don't want to, if you transferred, it means that like something went terribly wrong, or something was, you failed to fit the mold of the program.
I've heard some pretty interesting things about myself in that situation. Let me start off, first of all, when I transferred, I think that opportunity, I was fortunate enough to play pretty good amount at Vanderbilt. But that opportunity to go play at Lynn and get those at bat, like that gave me an opportunity to get back in touch with myself and my talent and my skills. And for those that are thinking about transferring or worrying about what people say or how they conceptualize it, who cares?
Mm-hmm.
Because the important thing, first and foremost, is your happiness, your mental health, and a bunch of other important things. But somewhere also in there is your baseball ability and how you're best able to get that on the field and get where you need to go. We want to play professional baseball. We want to get to the big leagues. That's what we want to do. For those that don't, that's fine too. But anyway, the vilified idea of transferring is just, like many things in the world, just an idea that was passed on. And like anything, yeah, sure, some people maybe had a failure at a school or an issue. We all have issues everywhere. But it's just understanding yourself and what you need to do that is best suited for you. And that, I think, is something that fits a lot of aspects of life.
Right. Too often in the media, we see people taking the side of billionaire baseball owners when the owners are not willing to sacrifice 15 to 20% of the salaries so that baseball can, 120 games can get played this year. But fans, they don't pick the side of the players. And in the media, too often we see fans picking the side of major college football and basketball programs because of the laundry and the culture. And I'm not saying that culture, all these things are very important, but if a college coach can make six figures, get a better job, recruit you, leave you high and dry with a guy that didn't recruit you without any penalty, why should you have to sit as a transfer for wanting to pick a different situation?
Yeah.
I've never understood that. I've never understood why so few people recognize that it's messed up that college, four-year school college coaches, that guy left, I don't know, there was a football guy, I think he was at Temple, and he left Temple and he went to Miami, and like in the span of like 2 weeks, there's been stories in the past of guys like coming on, taking a program over for 2 weeks, recruiting a class, getting people to come, and then bolting. And they don't have to sit a year. They get paid, right? People, we also confuse guys because we tell them you got to trust the process. You got to be patient. You got to let it work itself out. But at the same time, we're telling people to be true to themselves and, stick to what makes them and listen to their inner voice.
Yeah, there's a time and place, and that's a tough thing to start to understand. These kids are in high school and college is when to turn on that let it go, let it happen, and when to turn on that whoa, I got to grab control of myself. What's best for me here? And there's a fine line on that. And I think that's why you make sure you have a small, trustworthy group around you of people to talk to, but also take control of yourself and your rational mind of what you want to do. take the extra stuff out, take the words that you can't control out, and you grab control of what you need to do. You take out all the stuff that's in the way, find your path of whatever you need to do. There's no right or wrong when it's all said and done.
Too many people are influenced by the wrong things. They're driven by you have to get to the core of why is it that you're playing?
Right.
Are you playing to throw up an Instagram post of your uniform in a locker so that you can get people to like it? Are you playing to actually get better at your sport? Because all of these other qualities that we talk about a lot of the time of what else can you get out of being an athlete, of learning, of being on a team. But a lot of these things, they won't resonate with you unless you're playing.
Mm-hmm.
If you're sitting on the bench, and again, someone's got to sit the bench. I understand that. But I just see too many guys picking schools where I'm like, oh, man, are you really going to play there? Like, it's all about finding the right fit for you. And people don't understand that part of the reason there's a high transfer rate is because, they're driven by the wrong things when they commit. But
yeah, and how many times are kids that are 16, 17, 18 committed to go to a smaller school ending up being the ones that are really, really, really good? Do you want to be really good when you're 25, or do you want to be really good when you're 18?
Right.
Going into a school that's kind of a question mark for you.
Right.
So you have to keep that big picture in mind of like, what is my best step for me realistically, and what am I comfortable with? It's hard to listen to, but you always know the right answer. You always, most of the time it's in there.
Yeah.
Do some searching, but it's there somewhere.
Yeah.
So
as when you finished up at Lynn, you did some coaching a little bit, and you helped that program out in a bunch of different ways. What was it like going from player to coach to player? Because that's something we can talk about a lot. And,
yeah, right.
Yeah.
I had a very weird situation. So right after my senior year, I'm waiting on the draft, and it's looking good. Third day of the draft, I'm getting a call, getting money set up, and all of a sudden the draft's over and that call never happened. And for me, that was a tough pill to swallow for the second time, second year. And people say, well, you should understand the situation. Well, this, well, that. Not necessarily. I mean, yeah, sure, I get it. But like, everybody takes things differently. Mm-hmm. So at that point, I'm like, man, this is wearing on me. I'm at my sister's wedding, solid 5 minutes before I'm about to give a speech. I get a call. Hey, the White Sox want to take you. You have to answer this right now. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, I don't want to do this. So I say no. In the mindset, knowing that I was not in a mentally healthy place, I would go into pro ball, stink it up, and come out just not healthy. So I was in a position where I was like, all right, I'm going to just put this down for a little bit. I'm going to work on myself, take care of myself, because I know it's important in life. If it comes back, my desire to play comes back, and I feel strong about the fact that I'm ready, then I know whatever I have to endure, whatever weird path, whatever strange places I'm going to have to go play, I'll find my way. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of a bet on yourself kind of thing. And I didn't even really, at the time, I really didn't have much confidence in myself, but there was still that little inkling in me that was like, when it comes back, I'll be all right. I'll make it happen. So yeah, I started coaching. I coached for a fall. And some of the guys, so I started to get the itch to come back.
Right.
A couple of guys are like, hey, we're going to go throw live. You want to just take a few at bats? I go, my first at bat since who knows when. Yeah. I hit a ball over the center field wall, furthest ball I've probably ever hit in my life. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, okay, well, if this isn't a sign, if this isn't a sign, I don't know what is. Right. He must have thrown something on purpose so that I could hit it, because they must have just wanted me to play. Right. But anyway, it happened, and then I'm in a position where I get a call from Cam, our manager last year, to play with the Crushers. And I signed. I hung around the team a bunch. I talked to the guys and helped out. It was tough because right after college, you're hanging out, you're coaching guys that are your own age and guys you played with. Yeah. Which, as a leader from that team my senior year, they still respected me and listened to me, of course. But there's a line there. It's tough. For me personally, it gave me an opportunity to just step back and see a different angle of the game, yes. which was nice. So now I see, I pull the blinds back a little bit to, so to say.
Yes.
Which helped me grow just as a person and as a baseball player that I am now. I kind of have a different perspective of things. It's always, a lot of things is attitude and perspective. And when you can have different ones of those, it's always helpful.
So what did you learn? What did you learn about yourself from coaching? What was it that you took away as a coach? What was some of that perspective that you gained about your own playing career?
I just started to learn, my thought of coaches at the time as a player was always I just always wanted to be so perfect, and I always wanted to make everybody so happy. And I thought that they expected so much from me that it wore on me so much. That's just the kind of person I am. I want to make people happy. I want to be perfect for myself, and having to learn that that's a process in itself. But I just started to learn that coaches portray a certain message. I'm never going to say that every coach is perfect. We all know that that's impossible. Nobody is.
Right.
And they may not even be great at what they do. But for the most part, they may have a weird way of portraying it, but they're trying to make you as good as you can be. Sometimes it just gets a little lost in translation.
Right.
I think they mean the best for the most part. But anyway, it just gave me the opportunity to understand that coaches still understand that we are human. They just, some are a little funky in how they portray a message.
Okay.
And there's a way to go about portraying sometimes, and understanding your guys and individually how you may need to go about certain people.
Yeah. Well, to me, I would think that it would make you an endearing coach because you have this idea of you're not far removed from what it was like to handle.
Right. It was really just like being a catcher not on the field, and everybody was kind of a pitcher, So it's just it's the same kind of thing. I think it's important to have even if you're a coach, to have a friendship with your guys, and to have, there's a line, but to be able to talk to them as a human and not just coach and player, be able to sit here and have a conversation, and just a real conversation, and understand that they're humans and they feel and think certain ways, and that they maybe need help sometimes, and that everybody's having their own stuff going on all the time.
Right. I think you see that in pro ball as well. We saw that
right.
in pro ball with it's important to experience the game at different stages of your life. And I even have days where, I'm thinking about any number of things, and then you think back, and you still find a way to be productive at your sport, whether it's training in season or off season.
Mm-hmm.
You think back on wow, in high school, I wasn't even really worried about any of this stuff, right? I remember when I was playing and I just didn't have those thoughts in my head. So
yeah, right. There's thoughts there's thoughts that you and feelings you learn as you get older that you have to learn how to handle and deal with, and have those tools to be able to say, I heard a great quote the other day from somebody, Ryan Lamar of the Rays. He was just saying, because I was talking to him, I was like, man, I just felt terrible during our live at bats the other day. And he's like, man, I wish I was there. I wish I would have been there, because I was told, I had somebody tell me one day, and I wish I would have heard it earlier. But those days you wake up and you just don't feel well, or your swing doesn't feel right, those are the days you have to make the best.
Yeah.
And that makes good and great. That's a big line between good and great players. Those days that you're able to flip that mind and be like, okay, maybe I feel awful and it's not going to be easy.
Yep.
But you have to find a way to be productive.
Yep.
One way or another. Whether it's trusting yourself, putting away all the extra stuff, and just being like, all right, man, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. One way or another, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to find a way. I'm not going to punch out today. I'm just going to put a barrel to the ball, go from there. At least worst case scenario, I don't punch out 4 times. I save that from my stats. Maybe I shoot one into right field. That's a knock. Great. Perfect. You're 1 for 4, you're 1 for 3 with a walk or something, and you made it work.
Right.
But you can't give in on those tough days.
Yeah, Ron Darling used to have he's talked about this a bunch. I hear it a lot with pitchers because they're like, you get 5 days a year, 5 starts a year. Say a guy makes 25 starts a year in the bigs.
Mm-hmm.
Say 5 starts a year, he's feeling untouchable. He feels like his stuff is nasty. No one's going to touch him. 5 starts a year, he's going to feel like doo-doo. He's going to feel like doo-doo, and he's got to find a way to be productive with the doo-doo arm. But he just feels like that, whatever reason. It could be the travel layover. It could be personal life. It could be just physically it's hot and it's August. And
late in the year, it's hotter than hell.
The rest of those starts, you're somewhere in between, and you have to find a way to turn it on.
And there's moments in those starts. There could be a part you feel great. First inning, you feel great. 5th inning, you can feel great. But in between there, you're like, I don't feel good.
Right. And that's when you have to bear down, because you get that one little blip could turn into a 4 or 5 earned run inning, and all of a sudden, like, you wasted a really good start. So it's I think for hitters with us, it's more, you part of the reason you train is you work so hard to have an idea of what your internal, like what that voice is, like you said. Mm-hmm. And we kind of know when things are kind of like picking up, and we kind of know when things are kind of like, I might be going this way. So it's when you feel that you have to have a coping mechanism or something to get you to stabilize, because we've all been here. No hitter that's played long enough has not been here. But it's the guys that can stick around, or the guys that can turn this into
it starts to level off earlier than when it gets to ground zero.
Yeah. Ground zero. Forget ground zero. You're talking about like subterranean. We've all been there too. But I mean, when
too bad none of your players have seen you at that point in your life.
Oh, they have. They've seen. They I don't hide it very well. They know when I've explained both sides, but I'm trying to think of any examples. It wasn't the ejections in my life have actually been when I've had really good games. Most of the times I've tried to get ejected, umpires don't even eject me. We talked about this last year. It's more like when you hit a ball really hard, the ball, you smoke a hard ground ball in between the third baseman and the line. The guy doesn't touch the ball. The scorer, you're playing in somewhere, some town that isn't yours. The scorer calls it an error. You come back the next at bat. The guy bangs you on a 0-2 fastball that's about this much off the plate away. You turn around. You tell the guy something unkind. The guy doesn't even toss you out of the game. Then you go 0 for 3. The rest of just 3 at bats, you're 0 for 5.
Yeah,
and you're like, why didn't the guy just toss me after my second at bat? But that's
another story.
Just a glimpse into the mindset of trying to get tossed when you feel like you're not going to have. But anyway,
you need to get that off your chest. I understand.
I mean, those are good stories, but the other ejections are great too, because of things that I can't repeat on here that I've said to umpires. But anyway, kids, respect the umpires. The umpires
they're doing their best.
They're usually doing their best, except when they're not. Sometimes they're not doing their best.
And also, don't when you get one down the middle, just don't foul it off.
Well, that's an absolute truth for everyone. But as far as understanding coaching and playing, I think guys don't appreciate it enough. I talk to a lot of high school and college guys, and I'm like, listen, I'm not just saying this selfishly. It doesn't even have to be with me. Go and train players. Go and give hitting lessons when you're in college. I know the NCAA also doesn't really like that, because they don't want you to like make money when you're whatever. But it helps to organize your thoughts and reassemble your thought patterns, right? I mean, I think it's really valuable for players. I know a lot of guys that have broken out and had great years because they started coaching.
Or you also see when dudes get frustrated. So when they're getting frustrated, what's like really going on? Because, we all get frustrated too. So then you see, okay, I saw this kid, 19-year-old kid, get frustrated about such and such. And I'm sitting there looking at him like, what the heck? Like, you're 0 for 2, like whatever, you lined out. You're supposed to hit it hard. They caught it. Oh, well, like, and why am I getting upset?
Yeah.
When I do the same thing, but I'm looking at him like, you have no reason to be pissed.
Right.
So just kind of stuff like that, just behavioral stuff. A lot of behavioral stuff you can see. I learned a lot through coaching too.
Like the first year you're on, guys, you're like, is that how I look when I strike?
Yeah,
out?
that's I'm like, wow, I'm a
or like,
child.
is that how I look when I hit a double? Like, I hope I don't look like that, because I just hope I don't look like that. And then the thoughts in your head, and then you hit a double the next time, and you're just like,
I'm supposed to do this.
Cool and natural. And it's important though. People don't expose themselves enough to that side of it, and it's not always easy, but I love that about your story, because you go back to giving back to the community and giving back to the program that helped you, and boom, it turns you right back into a hungry, motivated, now professional.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt about it.
Yeah, as far as indie ball goes, because we have some indie guys on here from time to time, talk about the level, because you saw SEC baseball, the College World Series, really good Division II baseball, and now you saw Frontier League. So, like, how would you rank the pitching? How would you talk about some of the competition here?
The best pitching anywhere. I mean, the best pitching anywhere, especially as we get to adults. A lot of the really, really good arms, they might be a tick away from making a big jump.
Yeah.
It could be just a focus thing. It could be they are missing one little part of their delivery they haven't quite grasped. They don't quite understand how to use their stuff effectively. Like, I've talked to Lombano, who you've had on here, or like when we've spoken about Kimbrel, and like that dude was throwing 100 miles an hour at the bottom of the zone, getting tallywhacked. And then he made a change to start working up in the zone more. And that's just opened amazing doors. So, do you like Division II baseball? There's a lot of, like you said, a lot of transfers. So those first two starters, best dudes out of the pen, they're as good as anybody. It's really like the SEC was like just the depth is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, and those are just like electric 18 to 22-year-old arms.
And it's more like every single one. It's like there's just no limit.
Yeah, everybody.
The amount.
It's just whether some know how to handle a game, know how to throw strikes, know how to be consistent with certain things.
Yeah.
Stuff that any young baseball player has issues with. But anyway, and then you get to the Frontier League and you see arms that have, they've been around and they're really good, and they're just waiting for a door to open, but they just came from AA somewhere or high A somewhere. Like, they're very good arms. Like, that's the thing that I didn't understand either going into indie ball till I got there, was like understanding professional baseball and how good you can be. But just because you don't have that title of being a AA or AAA guy, that doesn't mean that you can't be as good. That just means maybe your opportunity hasn't come yet and it's not your time yet. So I was, we have Dale come back who had AAA experience, and this guy's a stud. Like, any number of guys that I saw around the league that are very good, that just one thing here or there happened, and now they're just waiting for their job to come back. And I didn't understand. I didn't realize the experience that dudes had, the talent that there is, and it was surprising to me, and I really appreciated it, and I enjoy it. Yeah. So it's a bunch of hungry guys for the most part.
Well, and that's going to go a long way for you as a baseball guy, no matter what point you're at in your career, because you didn't know the level, and then you experienced it, and then now you have a reverence or a respect for it. And most people, they don't. It's the same idea towards transferring. Most people, they haven't been through the process, so they come away with a perspective or assumptions about it that, until you really know it and you've really done it yourself, you have to
save your judgments.
Yeah. You're going to see that a lot this year. I mean, I feel for the high school seniors that have been recruited to schools, committed, and now they have an entire class of players coming back. A lot of the SEC schools have plucked away some of the best mid-major graduating seniors this year because they have essentially a free year to play with, a walk year. Like Arkansas picked up Western Kentucky's best hitter, Eastern Kentucky, one of those guys, Eastern Kentucky's best hitter. So you see and part of it is that not every program has the finances to retain all these players with extra years of eligibility now.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give to the freshmen that are coming in stuck behind 4 years of classes this next year, assuming players are back on campus and they're playing baseball in 2021?
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you, Karl Ellison, give some of these freshmen?
You need to understand, first off, why you play the game, which is like, okay, end result, end goal, yes, you want to get to the big leagues, 100%, great, awesome. But when you're in a situation where you're not playing and you're sitting there and you're like, man, I'm never going to play in the big leagues because I'm not playing right now, what are you going to lean on? What are you going to lean on to make sure you go to the field when nobody else is so that you can get your work in? What are you going to lean on so that BP, that's pretty much your game, you're going to take advantage of? Yeah. And with that is you're playing this game to be the best you can be. There's so much that can take place. You know, like I said, those guys in indie ball that are so good and can play at such high levels that aren't there right now, just because you don't have that title doesn't mean that you're not allowed to be as good or better than everybody else. So you have to just stick to like finding what is best for you and understand, having the faith and understanding that your opportunity will come and there are options so that you can get those on the field.
Yes.
Whether it's wait a year, if it's wait a year, wait a couple of years, and that's what you want to do, great, do it. Take advantage of that time you're sitting on the bench. Don't wallow in your sorrows of not playing. Understand that this is the choice I made. What am I going to do to take advantage of this time that I'm not necessarily in the situation that I want to be in?
Right.
You have to just, and then like it's the same thing in pro ball, like understanding that I'm playing this game to be the best I can be. The rug might get pulled out from under me.
Yeah.
Somebody may do something that is totally out of my control. I didn't, you don't get drafted, you don't do this, you don't do that, whatever it is, there are always options and there's always an opportunity for you to just keep going and be the best you can be. And that's, really for those of us that really love this game, which I think anybody, for the most part, high level guys, I think that we all are and do love it. Like you're just trying to be as good as you can be. Just whatever you have to do it. I think that's pretty clear.
Yeah. It's interesting too, because a lot of people around the draft last week with all the noise about, well, if you're a high school guy, should you sign and should you go to college? What's the decision? It's a little bit nuanced this year because the rules have changed. Karl Ravitch or somebody on ESPN was saying, a lot of guys, you get into pro ball and you realize they don't even really like baseball. And I haven't come across too many guys that I know in pro ball that haven't liked baseball.
They may act like it.
They may act like that, but most and they may not enjoy the politics of baseball and some of the stuff they can't control about it. But at its core,
that's not your problem.
They are still playing the game because most guys, they play until you rip the shirt off their back. And
right.
I think that's a good message for anybody. And if you look at it like that, you would not have had the experiences and the learning experiences. You wouldn't have gained the knowledge you've gained without that mindset of you got to rip that shirt off my back and you got to rip that uniform off my back.
You just have to, if this is what you want to do, you make that choice.
Yeah.
You make that choice of, okay, this is what I'm going to do until I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And from there, now I'm just going to do whatever I have to do to make myself happy and to put myself in the best situation that I can be in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's no, again, I was talking to somebody about this today. There's no right or wrong choice about signing or not signing. We'll just use that as an example.
Yeah.
But whatever you do, whether it's sign, not sign, transfer, not transfer, go to whatever it is, make a choice, get some help from whoever you need help from. Choice comes from you. Make the choice, stick with it, roll with it.
Yeah.
There's nothing to overthink.
And when you're looking for advice, I think it's important to try to find people that don't just have that singular mindset of like, I went to Florida State and played 4 years. Well, that's great. But maybe you want to talk to the guy that went to school A, went to a JUCO, went to school B, because they can tell you what is bad about certain places, what's good about other places. They can tell you about the junior college. And the junior college route, I'm biased towards because it worked for me and I think it works for a lot. But
I didn't even do it and I'm biased towards it.
Yeah, I mean, think about you said that BP is a game for some of these guys sitting at North Carolina or at a big time program. BP is your game for your freshman, maybe your sophomore year. Okay,
Mhm.
well, you go to JUCO, and yes, parents, I know you go to JUCO. Oh, junior college. Oh, I don't know what could happen. You know, there's a risk you might get hurt and then like inherit a lot of risk. Well, I got news. If you get hurt or if they don't like you, if you play at a big time 4-year school, they're going to push you out and take your scholarship away. So there's just as many risks you inherit going to the 4-year school and sitting around versus going to a 2-year school where at least you probably have a chance to play a lot of baseball for your first 2 years. I went to, I mean, if I could have done it all over again, I would have gone to JUCO right out of high school because you get your 2 years of like 250 at-bats a season, like 500 at-bats against pretty good competition. And you get your 2 summers of like 200 at-bats. That's like 900 at-bats before you even step foot on a Division I campus.
No doubt.
But then there's other guys out there that play high school baseball, and then they're just like, yeah, I'm ready to get. So you got 900 at-bat guy, and you got 0 at-bat guy. As a 4-year school coach, which one do you want? I mean, I don't think there's any question, but that's just one of the options. Yeah, it's important to get information from people that have that unique experience, and you certainly have that. So it's
yeah. I mean, again, I don't know. I harp on the fact that there's just no right or wrong. Just do, and you can only predict and you can only play your odds so much. It's like at some point you do what you think is best in the moment, and that's all you can control, and you roll with it and just stick with it. Whether it goes the way you want or not, stick by it.
Yeah.
And you'll feel good about it.
Yeah, and that's good advice, man. And kudos to you for, being committed to your vision and, staying true to yourself and being honest and willing to go with what makes you happy and what makes, what helped you grow into yourself. You yourself
Absolutely.
said it. The first year you played every day and the first year you felt like yourself, you had a monster year and you put up big numbers in 17. So it goes to show without a doubt. So we'll be hoping that we see you on a field this year. I don't know what the future holds for that. We have some news. The American Association is going to be playing
Great.
some sort of 6-team season. Shout out to Aaron Hill. He's going to be in Milwaukee playing like the same team like 45 games in a row. Dude, there's going to be brawls. There's going to be if you play the same team 45. Imagine if we played 45 times in a row against a team last year. Like, there's going to be brawls.
People would just start to get annoying for no reason, probably. But at this point, though, I think I'm all for it because I just want to play against somebody. But there may be a little aspect of like, just thank God we're here. This guy isn't that annoying just because I want to play. So let's play ball.
Nah, I think that will last for like 15 games, and then like in game 16, a guy is gonna like call time.
Speak for yourself. I'm just kidding.
A guy's gonna like call time or like step off the mound and like throw the ball out and ask for a new ball, and someone's gonna just be like, I don't like this guy at all. This guy really bothers me. But yeah, so that's coming back. Hopefully there's gonna be some baseball coming back.
Yeah.
In the Frontier League, you're going back to Lake Erie, and it's going to be an interesting transition over there. New coaching staff, new player personnel, and whatnot. But Karl, we really appreciate you coming on, and your insights are extremely valuable to us. And I'll leave one parting question would be.
Yeah.
If you had to pick one Curb Your Enthusiasm episode,
wow,
what would be what would be your Curb episode? You can only watch one episode the rest of your life. Which one would it be? Shout out to Larry David and
one episode the rest of my life.
One episode.
Probably. I mean, it's got to be one episode.
I only ask you this because I know you have
somewhere along the lines of
thorough knowledge.
It's just I don't know if I could be too exact, but it's just got to be something along the line with when Leon, shout out to JB Smoove, starts to come into play, because him and Larry's relationship is just like one of the greatest things ever. That's great. For some reason, one coming to my mind right now is when Larry was cutting off the hair of Jeff's daughter's or somebody's like doll. That was a mess. Just, I don't know, man. That's so hard because I've rewatched, by the way, I'm on the 9th season. I just started watching it like 3 weeks ago. So you can tell what I do after I'm done with my baseball activity. But man, what a show for anybody out there that's allowed to watch that type of television and capable of doing it. Go for it, because
before it gets censored and taken off the air forever and blacklisted, I highly recommend it. Highly recommend.
I guess.
I think there's a couple good early ones, really good early ones. And
there's some good ones.
I agree. I think the peak is post Leon. I think there's pre-Leon and there's post Leon. So I think
there's a good one too when he goes to the Dodgers game in the carpool lane with the gal that he meets on the highway. That's a good one. That's a really good one.
That's a good one.
Funny story about that episode. I'm going to lay this out here now. Is I'm pretty sure, at least I had heard about it years ago, was that somebody had gotten arrested for some type of arrested for like a murder. He was in jail, and somehow that episode caught him on camera at the Dodgers game
at the time that the murder was being committed. And then it got exonerated, and they got him out, right? I think.
Yeah, unbelievable. Unreal.
Unbelievable. Larry David.
There it is.
Live.
There it is. That's what we should have talked about this whole time. He's way better than me.
I mean, that's a whole. That's all. We'll have to bring you back on and just dissect it.
Kind of a TV show. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, make sure you follow Karl's season with Lake Erie this year, or depending on how everything shakes out, we'll post the social media information up for you guys. Make sure you go and check out American Batsmith, www.americanbatsmith.com. And as always, check us out at Raxhax, RAX_HAX. Working on that website. That website's going to be up soon. And we, as always, will continue to bring this content from the source, from professional baseball people, industry people, and we're bringing it to you guys straight here at Raxhax Remote, our YouTube channel. And that's all we got for today. So we'll be in touch with you guys shortly. And thanks for tuning in. Karl, thanks again for being on our show, man.
Thanks for having me. Everybody out there, take advantage of this time we have. I know it's tough, but take advantage of it. It's useful.
It's good stuff, man. See you guys next week.
Absolutely. See ya.